It is well known that Chief Robert Trebes keeps bad officers employed while getting rid of the honorable ones. Here's another example of Trebes' operations. Officer Estrellita Sandoval was arrested and charged with domestic violence assault toward her wife. Sandoval was out on administrative leave, and even though her behavior was behavior that should have gotten her fired, and less than what is required of an officer, Chief Robert Trebes kept her on in the Bullhead City Police Department, where she is currently still employed. While on administrative leave, she was compensated for over a year with taxpayers' money, even though she should have been terminated. Yet they chose to bring her back after being suspended. Arizona Post suspended her certification for 90 days. But Robert Trebes decided to keep her on. And yet he goes after innocent officers that have zero criminal history. Why is that? Officers that have no criminal history, like Herline and Santa Rosa, have been the target of the chief of police. Estrellita Sandoval was an inept officer who should have never gotten off of field training, as was the recommendation by the field training coordinator. And now they've had nothing but continuous problems that led to this domestic violence case. The city manager, Toby Cotter, is well aware of all the corruption going on in the police department. However, his lifestyle consists of hanging out with these accused officers, namely Andrew Seviano, who has also been under investigation for missing money. The city should take note that there is a new mayor in town. His name is Rodney Head, and if he is an honest man, he'll not only get rid of the crooked city manager, Toby Cotter, but he'll fire the daring duo, Robert Trebes and Marv Harris.
Violence against intimate partners is a serious problem even outside of the participation of police officers, but a police officer is significantly more likely to cause violence to an intimate partner than someone who is not a police officer. 40% of police officers admitted that they had behaved violently toward their spouse or children in the previous 6 months, and the number may include instances of verbal abuse and stalking.
Where am I? It's just so beautiful. I am in.
Another reason police officer domestic violence happens with such greater frequency than average is that the officer knows that he will probably be protected by his fellow officers. Why do police officers abuse and even murder their intimate partners at much higher rates than the average person? How do police officers keep getting away with it? According to forensic psychologist Victoria Hargan, police officers possess many of the same personality traits domestic abusers possess, such as authoritarianism, coercion, manipulation, deception, psychological tactics, isolation, high rates of substance abuse, relationship issues, and a sense of entitlement are examples. Use of force over the course of years as a police officer changes the psychology and personality of these officers. The use of force is justified under the vague notion of officer safety. This is part of their training. In fact, it's a significant part of their training. Police officers are trained to think about their own safety above all else, including above the safety of civilians. All domestic abuse is heinous and wrong, but domestic abuse committed by a police officer creates unique challenges for the victim. According to Alex Roslin, author of Police Wife, domestic violence is bad enough for any woman to deal with, but abuse at home is far worse for the wife or girlfriend of a cop. Who will she call? The chances that a police officer's wife will get a responding officer who also abuses his wife is way too high and way too much of a risk for many women. They are trapped.
Getting back to Officer Sandoval, her charges were dismissed by the city prosecutor because Sandoval's victim was too afraid and she was completely traumatized. The Bullhead City Police Department was well aware of what was going on with Sandoval, but instead of firing her, they gave her a desk job until recently when she was placed back on the street. And now, Sandoval is able to carry a gun in Bullhead City once again. Certain untrustworthy Bullhead City police officers are being protected while honorable ones are being let go. And the city manager has no problem knowing all about the corruption. And sadly, taxpayers are paying these officers to behave in this manner. The department had the discretion to terminate Sandoval because the acts she committed were egregious and the department should have terminated her employment. The city prosecutor pursued these charges, but far too often, the victims of these domestic violence abusers are too afraid to speak up for fear of retaliation, and the perpetrator is way too often let go, which is what it looks like in this case. Coincidentally, Officer Sandoval's victim was so scared and disturbed that she packed up her kids and left the city.
Sometimes abused women run away even further, but when a police officer is the abuser, they have the tools and resources to better track their victim. According to Jess Hill, frequently, victims will raise concerns about having their devices monitored and tracked, sometimes with the assistance of other police officers and police systems, only to be told by police investigators that this isn't really stalking because it's well-intended or police officers have an elevated, heroic status in our society. Convicting a police officer of domestic abuse is extremely rare, and even when it happens, the sentence is sometimes just a discharge, termination. That means there is nothing on his criminal record. He won't lose his job, and he can continue abusing women and patrolling the neighborhood with the implements he used on his own wife. Police officers follow a code of silence that protects their fellow officers from accusations of wrongdoing, a gang mentality that severely limits consequences for officers. If an officer informs on another officer, it is the informant who has done wrong. If an officer investigates another officer for domestic abuse or anything else, the investigating officer is harassed, threatened, attacked, even killed to protect the officer under investigation. As explained by Diane Wettendorf, the police code of silence dictates that no matter what, cops protect and defend other cops. As a matter of honor, they are to lie and cover up for other officers and present a united front under any threat of an investigation. If there is a discrepancy between what he told them and what they observed at the scene, they might come to a consensus on some version of the story and then stick to it. Their official report, if there is one, will reflect the agreed-upon version.
Austin police are raising awareness about intimate partner violence in lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender relationships. The president of the Lesbian and Gay Peace Officers Association in Austin wrote an article in the nationally distributed Police Chief magazine outlining the problem. This afternoon, I spoke with the author, Detective Michael Crumrine. How do these intimate partner violence cases differ between the gay and lesbian community and the heterosexual community?
What most studies show is that the rate of intimate partner violence is just as prevalent in the LGBTQ community as it is in the heterosexual community.
Anyone who has been victimized, no matter what, should have the confidence and the courage to step forward and talk about their abuse and hold someone accountable.